Hi, my name's Charles Smith, and for the last 5 months, I've been getting severely harassed and threatened by a couple of my neighbours. For legal reasons, I won't say their names, but after months and months of dealing with the council, the police, speaking to my MP, I feel that this is the best way to be heard. Also, because I've recently found out that one of the neighbours that have been harassing me has been stalking me on Facebook and watching my YouTube videos. Where to start? Me and my wife moved here with my 6-month-old son back in August of 2018. Everything seemed fine. I even became friends with one of my neighbours, who I call Mal B. He lived above me. We were quite good friends for many months. I mean, even in the Christmas of 2018, he actually came down to my house and dressed as Santa Claus for my son. We were pretty close. I mean, I used to go up to his flat, sit with him and his mum. He used to come down here, sit with me and my wife and my son. We used to drink in the garden together. And after a few months, I started to get a bit suspicious about him. He kept telling me that there was another neighbour that was calling him a paedophile, and he was getting harassed walking down the street. But it was never when I was with him. I never personally heard anything being said about him. And it always seemed coincidentally whenever I weren't around. Eventually, I told him that he should wear a body cam so he can record it. So then, if anything happens, he can just press the button on his body cam, it gets recorded. He can show me, and he can show the police and the council. He had another friend who I never really had any time for because of the things he told me about her. And I'll call her female A and her partner Mal A. It was a weird sort of, from what Mal B had told me, it was a very weird relationship. Like Mal B would tell me that he used to supply female A with alcohol, and in return she would give him sexual favours like blowjobs, wank him off. Apparently even took him to hotels on occasions when her boyfriend weren't there. I don't believe any of it, and I believe it was all fabricated. But by about September, about late August, early September of 2019, me and female A, we didn't get on, and she didn't like me because I was always trying to stop Mal B from drinking too much, things like that, which hindered the relationship with female A because they were drinking partners. But that weren't my intention. My intention was that he always told me he struggled to drink, and I thought, be the good Samaritan, help him get off the drink. One night, me and my wife were sitting at home. This was about early September. Me and my wife were sitting at home. We've just put my son to bed, and at the time she was actually heavily pregnant with our second child. We put my son to bed, and we've heard banging outside, and we've gone outside, and it turns out someone was actually banging on my son's bedroom window. I've opened the door, and it was female A and her daughter. They just started shouting at me, and they started calling me a paedophile. And that now, I've never been convicted as a paedophile. I've obviously, take my word for it, I've never had that sort of interest in children. And like I say, I live with my 2 children. I'm a licensed security officer, so for that I'd need to do an enhanced CRB with most jobs. I mean, I'll be honest, most people, I have some criminal history, but nothing to do with children. To be honest, nothing actually serious. Most of it was when I was a kid. You know, like nicking sweets out of a shop, things like that. I was a bit thrown back when she was calling me a paedophile, and that she started shouting abuse at me. Her daughter started accusing me of calling her mum names, which again never happened. I've never spoke to the woman properly. I shut the door. I shut the door because they tried pushing past me to get to my pregnant wife, and I forced the door shut. As I forced the door shut, female A booted the front door, actually breaking the plastic cover around the door. My wife then phoned the police. The police turned up. They arrested female A and her daughter, who were later released due to lack of evidence. And it just sort of spiraled from there. At the time, I thought me and Mal B were still friends, and I said to the police, look, if you want evidence, Mal B has cameras attached to the property that look down on my doorway, and I'm sure he would be happy to give the footage to the police. The police knocked on his door, and he started shouting abuse at the police, and then I actually heard him say that he's not going to help that paedophile downstairs, referring to me. Obviously then I realised obviously me and him were no longer friends. They started sending, they found some guy online with the same name as me, Charles Edward Smith, from America, who is a convicted paedophile over there. But the link I got sent that link, and I'll be honest with you, the link I believe was fake, because when you first go onto the link, it's a picture of a guy that looks slightly, very, very, very slightly like me. But then if you click the link again, if you click the internal, the internal pages within the link, it shows the real guy, whose name's Charles Edward Smith, and he's some guy in his 80s who was arrested for child paedophilia back in, I think it was 1979. I weren't even born until 1985. The guy that looks a bit like me, and I've searched it. I've done a Google search a Google image search on him, and his name's actually John Langley, and that again convicted paedophile, but not me. Mal B, like I say, lived above me. He was the main one at first, and after that his bedroom was above my son's, and he'd wait until sort of 8-9 o'clock at night, knowing that my son would be asleep, and he would then begin to stamp and jump up and down in his bedroom while shouting out pedo house. He made false allegations. We had the police come to our house saying that I'd been accused of beating up my wife. The worst one, actually, on the same day, actually, was an officer come in, pulled me into a room away from my wife, and told me that I'd been accused of sexually abusing my 1-year-old son. And that I was, to be honest, I'll be honest. At first, I found it laughable. I thought there's no way anything's gonna come of this, because I'm innocent. I've never done anything like this. I never would. And I thought, right, give it a couple of weeks, I'll be yesterday's news, and they'll start on someone else. It never happened. I'll be honest, I found it rather cowardly, though. They always done things from a distance. And that Mal B, he'd shout all his abuse from upstairs, but the minute he was face to face with me, he'd keep his head down. If I walked up to him, he'd run away. Same with female A and her partner, male A. They'd shout abuse at me, but then if I saw them down the street, I mean, on several times I saw female A's partner walking down by the local shops, and on 2 occasions he actually looked at me, put his head down, and crossed the street. I mean, it's very cowardly behaviour. I mean, if they really thought I was a paedophile, surely they'd come after me. I mean, I don't know about anyone watching this, but if I thought without a shadow of a doubt someone was a paedophile, my first steps obviously would be going to the police. But if that don't work, and I saw him walking down the street, I don't think I'd hesitate. I'd hurt him. But this carried on for months and months, and eventually Mal B from upstairs, and that he was arrested for harassment and threatening behaviour towards me, my wife, and my children, and he's now awaiting a court hearing. But his friends, female A and male A, and that they've carried on, but they've really upped their game, really severely upped their game. They found out about, like, a couple of weeks ago. They found out I was working in a slots casino where I live, and they actually went and took the time to print out petitions to have that place shut down. And when people were asking why do you want it shut down, their response was, oh, because they've hired a paedophile. They have a paedophile working there. Again, referring to me. I contacted the police. The police came out. They said because there was nothing actually written about, and that because there was nothing written about being a paedophile on the petition itself, there was nothing they can do because it's hearsay. What I was saying, there was no proof. And then a few days ago, me and my wife and our children, we had my children in the pram, and we were walking along the shops. We were literally just going down, and that we were going down. We were on our way to the cafe, and that we once or twice a month we'd go and get lunch at the cafe. And as we were walking down, I saw Mal B who used to live upstairs. Obviously, he's been removed by the police. But I saw him standing outside our local Iceland's in front of a table with clipboards and petitions. And I thought, right, okay, they're here right now, I'll phone the police. So I phoned the police, and whilst I was on the phone to the police, me and my wife carried on walking, I've heard my name being mentioned. So I sort of stopped, I've looked over, and there's Mal A, female A's partner, standing there talking to a lady sitting on a bench, and just a normal member of the public. And I heard him say my full name and my address, saying that I'm a paedophile and I need sorting out. I questioned him on it. Well, like I say, normally he'd back down, he'd run away, he'd put his head down, proper cowardly stuff. But obviously today, I've got a pram with me. I'm vulnerable. And I'm not going to get into a fight while I've got my children with me. And he took advantage of that. He got in my face. He literally got to the point where his nose was touching mine. I could smell his breath. Started calling me a dirty nonce. Basically that he weren't going to run away from me. He ain't going to back down from me. He's not scared of me. Funny thing was, as he was saying that, he was then backing away. Obviously the police came out. And they're now investigating it. All 3 parties are now looking at being arrested for harassment, threatening behaviour, and Public Order Act. But it carried on. Later on that night, I got a message from my boss telling me that there was men inside the shop that I work in, demanding to see me, and basically threatening that when they find me, I'm dead. And this is all because of the horrible lies that was spread by the 3 parties. I'll be completely honest, I don't know exactly how to react to all of this. A part of me wants to just keep on at the police, make sure it gets done properly. Another part of me wants to kick their door in and just go to town. But I've got kids to think of. I'm not that way inclined. And now I deal with my problems however necessary I need to deal with them. But at the end of the day, I've got a wife to look after and 2 children to protect. But they've now given out my address. They've given out my address telling people that I'm a paedophile. And that's put my children at risk, which I find disgusting. And that if you know where I work, then tell people, if you generally 100% believe that I'm a paedophile, and you know where I work, you tell people where I work. Let them come there, let them sort me out there. You don't give out my address, knowing there's children in this house. And that knowing full well that if someone was to walk past my house and put a brick through the window, that could hurt my child, or my wife. And that I find that disgusting, I find it's beyond unhuman. The main reason I'm doing this video is because I know the people in question will be watching it. And I want to know why. I want to know why this all started. I want to know what I've done to deserve this treatment. When this all first started, I spoke to the council and I said I want a mediation. I want a mediation meeting. I want me and I want male B and female A in a room. With a member of the council, with a police officer if necessary. I didn't want mediation because I wanted to be friends with them. And that's never going to happen. And that I would never be friends with someone that calls me a paedophile. That would just be beyond stupid. I wanted the mediation because I wanted to find out what started this. Why target me? Why target a family man? Why target someone that works hard to look after his wife and children? But I'll be completely honest, then the people at the council told me that going by the history of and previous reports they'd had from other neighbours about female A and male B, that there was no point. There was no point in mediation because it won't get me nowhere. And that it would end with just both of them screaming, shouting, hollering abuse, as they've done to me before and as they've done to several neighbours in the past. I mean, I'm not the only one that they've labelled a paedophile. I've seen. I mean, like I said, I've lived here a year and a half, and in just that year and a half that I know of, I'm the 4th person that they've labelled a paedophile. The only difference is I've stuck to my guns. I've not bowed down to them. I've not moved away, and I'm not planning to bow down to them. And that I ain't ever gonna give up until the police do something properly about this. And that they're playing a game that they think they can win, and with me they can't. With me, I will protect my family until my dying breath. And I will not have anyone slander my name, because my children have got to grow up knowing who their dad is, and potentially knowing people that have heard bad things about their dad. And I'm not going to allow that. I don't think it would be hard. I really don't think it would be hard for this whole situation to be dropped. I mean, the parties involved. I mean, if they just dropped all this, it wouldn't be damaging to them. They wouldn't lose anything from dropping this, and that it wouldn't even hurt them in any way, and that they could just get on with their lives and allow me and my family to get on with ours. I don't expect an apology. No, I don't expect an apology. To be honest, I don't even think I would accept one. But I still would like to know why this all started. I don't see myself as a bad person. And I know for what my wife is definitely not a bad person. She's amazing. So are my kids. I have a strong family network that support me. I have a strong friends network that support me. All of which are begging me to move home. And I'll be honest, eventually we will. We will. No, but not because of them. Because we want to bring out, not because of our neighbours. And that, we will move, but we will move because we want our children brought up in a better area than the area we live in. I mean, I spoke to a member of the council today, and she said that basically when female A's partner approached me the other day, one of the things he said to me was that he's seen the videos. I'm a dirty nonce, and he's seen the videos, which baffled the hell out of me, because I've not been in any videos that would label me a nonce. I spoke to the council today, and she actually confirmed they had actually found a video on YouTube and sent it to her, claiming that that's what proved I was a paedophile. That video is of me in a devil onesie about 12 years ago. About 10 years ago, in a devil onesie, singing Fuck Her Gently by Tenacious D. And just messing around. You know, a bit of fun. If singing that song makes me a paedophile, then what is Jack Black a paedophile? Is Cage, his partner, a paedophile? They're celebrities, you never know. But as far as I'm aware, no. It just feels like they're clutching at straws, constantly clutching at straws. They know they have no proof that I'm a paedophile because I'm not one. They know they can't prove that I'm a paedophile because I'm not one. So instead, they go around, they tell people that will listen. They tell gullible idiots, alcoholics, drug addicts, people that will act without thinking, that I'm a paedophile. Now, at first, I generally believed that they were just doing this because they wanted me to move. I don't believe that anymore. I believe they generally want me hurt. And by telling people where I live tells me that they want my family hurt as well. And you've got to be very, very ill in the mind to even contemplate having children hurt. My children are, my oldest one living with me is nearly 2. And his little brother's 2 months. And yet there's some people out there that are contemplating having them hurt because of a vile rumour about their dad. Now, I know full well by making this video, I'm going to walk down the street and there's a potential I'm going to be recognised. But I don't care anymore because I'm not a paedophile. I'm going to tell you a few, if you are watching this, I'm going to tell you a few home truths. You claim I'm a paedophile. This is the female A. You claim I'm a paedophile, but yet a year ago, just 1 year, and before the record I was told this by male B. 1 year ago, you had an argument with your boyfriend. And then you went round claiming that he sexually molested a 12-year-old girl in our local shop. How would I, now you can kick off at me or do whatever, but how would I know that allegation unless I was told? I've been told, basically, this is all by Mal B about your partner, which, don't get me wrong, like I said, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think if he molested a child, he would have been arrested for it. He wouldn't be around here. So I don't believe it. But these are things that Mal B had told me. That one. The sexual favours, the fact that even though you're good friends, you actually had him arrested and claimed that it was for sexual assault on yourself. So they're the two closest men to you, and yet you've accused them both of sexual misconduct. It seems to be a going pattern with you, with all three of you actually, that you like to call people sex offenders, paedophiles, nonces, and yet you try and ruin people's lives with it. Why can't you just get on with your own lives? Why can't you see that people are happy and be happy for them? I mean, you would be so much happier if you got on with your own life rather than causing trouble for others. I don't see why. I mean, don't get me wrong, it might be a lot of fun causing trouble for people, but I personally don't understand it, because I'm not that way inclined. I generally believe that if I'm happy, people should be happy for me. If you're happy, I'll be happy for you. I mean, don't get me wrong, I will never be friends with you because of what you've called me and the trouble you've caused me. But if 5 years down the line someone says to me, oh, did you know female A has cleaned her act up, she's got herself a good job, she's got a mortgage, I'd be like, do you know what? I don't like the woman, but fair play to her, well done. Because that's an achievement. And I know better than anyone what it's like to push hard and get them achievements. I mean, before I got with my wife, and I was actually in a very, very bad relationship, very toxic relationship. When we split up, I became homeless. I was actually sleeping rough for a good 6 months. I was at rock bottom. I was at rock bottom. I personally didn't believe I would live to the end of that year. Then I got put in a hostel where I met my wife. Within a couple of months of meeting my wife, and that they say behind every successful man is a strong woman, and that's definitely true. I wouldn't say I'm successful, but I'm better than I was. And that within literally a month of me and her being together, she encouraged me. She encouraged me to get up, get out, and go to college, get my security license. And that she encouraged me to get certain jobs. She was behind me and pushed me on every step of the way. And obviously that's why I married her. If anyone with any power is watching this, anyone high up in the council, anyone high up in the police, an MP, bloody hell, Boris Johnson, for crying out loud, anyone watching this with any power, and that, reach out to me, help me sort this situation out, because it shouldn't go on for any longer. It shouldn't have gone on it shouldn't have even started. But just know, if anyone else is going through this, anyone else is being harassed by neighbours unlawfully, well, harassment is always unlawful, but unjustly harassed and threatened by neighbours, and just know you're not the only ones. You're not the only ones. There's people out there that are worse off than you. There's a lot of people out there a lot worse off than me. And there's always people to help. I've not quite found them yet, but they're definitely out there. They're definitely out there, and I wish you all the best. And to the people that are harassing me, if you leave me alone, I wish you all the best. Again, my name's Charles Smith, and I've been labelled a paedophile. Thank you.